Guys, Iseth hasn't come back from the grocery store with the milk, and I've been alone on the channel for the last month, and my cereal is so dry. It hurts my mouth to eat. Iseth, come back.
Yes, what you're going through is bad, but when you remember the gospel...
Go away, Todd. Look, I'm already in pain. I really need a break for at least a video from the theistic apologetics. Well, Iseth's not here to stop me. Maybe we indulge in one of my special interests, something that she wouldn't care about, and something certainly her audience wouldn't care about. Copyright infringement.
The concern about AI was already a problem when it could reliably spit out human-sounding text. But now that it can reliably produce pictures, photographs, entirely from scratch, it is deeply worrying.
Hi, Coffee. Funnily enough, I agree with your literal words, but not your intent. Largely, I do think the concern about AI is a problem. Now, there are concerning use cases for AI, just like there are concerning use cases for any incredibly useful tool, but there are a lot of people who think the tool isn't incredibly useful, and they're wrong. There are also people who think incredibly valuable use cases are concerning, and they're also wrong. And because I've seen this video already, I know you at least fall into the latter category.
And I want to talk about Elon Musk's new version that he dropped.
Hi there. So, quick aside, I undersell the degree of abandonment that Iseth has subjected me to, because I made this video last year, and she didn't get around to uploading it until now because she was distracted by being pregnant. Likely story. So if there have been any relevant updates to any of these news stories, or if Coffee has developed his position further than what I've commented on, I'm not aware of it, because I'm a cave person, and nothing scares me more than current events, so I do my best to stay away from them. Anyway, if you were at all confused as to why I'm responding in mid-2025 to a video released mid to late 2024, that's why. It's Iseth's fault, it's not my fault. I am and have always been perfect and blameless.
Because if you didn't know, there's a huge copyright rights battle going on in AI, because all these companies are sucking up everyone's data to use for their models to make money.
All right, so they are sucking up data, otherwise known as looking at publicly posted images, and they are making money, which presumably means they're selling a product or service to someone willing to pay for it. I must say, despite your negative intonation, you've not described these companies as doing anything objectionable.
And obviously people have a problem with that because they're just stealing artists' work without credit, without permission, without any kind of remittance.
I don't care how much you paid for your ape or how much you think it's worth. I'm going to right-click it and I'm going to download it. And when I do that, that is not stealing, because I have not deprived you of your ape. Ideas, unlike property, are not scarce. If I steal your bike, I have deprived you of your ability to make use of the bike. But if I had the ability to snap my fingers, and suddenly there was an identical duplicate of your bike right next to it, and I rode that, you would not say I had stolen your bike. Now, if you operate a bike rental service, you might say I've deprived you of profit by creating for myself something that you would otherwise have rented to me. This is the position artists find themselves in, and I have no sympathy for it whatsoever. I'm not willingly going to extend to them monopoly of an idea, which is what intellectual property is. It is the sole right to create copies of a thought. The thought, in this case, just happens to be a particular sequence of ones and zeros that ends up creating an image. Copyright law is pro-scarcity and anti-competition. And like anything that's pro-scarcity and anti-competition, I would suspect it to produce bad results. Is there a pragmatic argument in favor of copyright law? Indeed there is. By allowing people to have the monopoly of an idea, you incentivize the creation of new ideas. Is that not itself a productive activity that we should incentivize. As you might have guessed, I don't find this a very compelling argument, and I don't find it a compelling argument for two reasons. Firstly, a creator can profit off of an idea that is not copywritten. Commission, patronage, encryption. Just keep the idea secret. Give away the idea, but also give away an ad along with it that you can profit from, like what's done in radio. The incentive to produce novel ideas may be somewhat reduced, but it is still very much present. And the second reason is, way more of human progress is the result of people iterating on existing ideas, rather than individuals coming up with lone, groundbreaking ideas all by themselves. It's a cliche to say the people at the forefront of any field are standing on the shoulders of giants, but it's a cliche because it's true. If people have the freedom to share and modify ideas, extraordinary things happen.
Not only that, these models will reliably reproduce other people's copyrighted work, like, Disney's Mickey Mouse or something like that, if you ask it to.
Oh, shit. You're still here. I'm sorry, I was speaking for so long I forgot I was responding to someone. Did you just cite Disney as the victim of copyright infringement? Disney, the company that sends cease and desists to schools and daycares for painting pictures of their characters. Alright, so on the one hand, we have these tech companies that are freely or cheaply creating on-demand art to my specifications, and on the other hand, we have Disney, who will sue me if I use their art in a way they don't approve of. And you want me to be on Disney's side.
So, in light of that, in concern for both, getting sued and also for safety concerns, a lot of AI companies have taken steps to remove the model's capability of producing these types of images. Elon Musk, though, today, who ironically has been very, what do you call it? Like almost cautionary about AI. He talks very doomer, I would say. He lies more on that spectrum of AI's bad, or not AI's bad. AI can be bad. He warns people about that. He just released a image generation model beyond the likes of which we've ever seen, okay?
A gun can be bad, depending on who's holding it and who they're pointing it at. Guns in general are good. Likewise, AI can be bad, like when it's used for things like impersonation, fraud, scams, propaganda, stuff like that. Things we would condemn its use for. But it can also be incredibly good. One of the things we shouldn't condemn its use for would be copyright infringement. Copyright infringement is good.
Because it's the most capable, unhinged model we've seen yet, and it goes to show we're headed for a very dystopian, strange time.
Sharing images of Disney characters without permission is dystopian. What the fuck are you smoking, Coffee?
But he's almost for sure going to get sued for this.
He may very well get sued for this. In fact, your video is a month old. He might already be being sued for it. I didn't look it up prior to making this response, because Elon Musk is not the topic of conversation. Copyright law is the topic of conversation, and Elon's legal situation is not really my concern here. My concern is people loudly endorsing the kneecapping of human advancement by being advocates for stupid laws.
So, this is Grok 2. Sorry I showed you this before you were ready. I know that was shocking. These are the types of images you can generate. It will generate real people, fictional results of real people in situations obviously they would never be caught in. Some of this will have to be censored, but this is Donald Trump near some very famous towers. This is Ronald McDonald holding a machine gun with blood all over him. It's just a bunch of popular characters holding guns in scenarios that, like, people would not be okay with their character being involved in.
Oh no, an unflattering, obvious joke image depicting a politician. This shouldn't be legal. What the fuck is wrong with you? How can you say that with a straight face and think anyone is being dystopian but you?
And look, I'm not stumping for Disney.
Yes, you are. You feel the need to say you're not, because doing so would be obviously retarded, but that's my point. You're being obviously retarded right now.
I don't care about that, and some people might even relate it to the piracy times of Web 2. Like early on, everyone was pirating everything, and there were some rights issues there.
Okay, now you're just fucking with me. There's no way you think piracy was a thing of the past that doesn't happen in modern times.
I'd say there's a big difference, though. Back during the piracy days, most of the people doing the piracy were kind of like, broke college kids, sympathetic people, basically. They're like people who didn't have a lot of options. The people who are stealing rights in this case and just reproducing people's works without their consent in totally unhinged scenarios are other billion-dollar companies. Y'all get the difference there?
No, and you're wrong. Who do you think made the image of Donald Trump next to those towers? More than likely, it was a broke college student. Yeah, they used tools made available to them by large companies in order to create that piece of art, just like the software pirates of the past used the tools of big companies in order to carry out software piracy.
Back when people were just pirating stuff, which is even still different than what this is, but it was just like a kid in his bedroom, who couldn't afford a movie, so he pirates it or whatever. Or he just wants it a little cheaper. But it's not this systemic thing.
Yes, and you're saying the end user can't have an AI-created image of Mickey Mouse. It's the same thing. People pay for X in order to make AI images, just like people used to pay for Nero in order to burn CDs.
In this case, we have billion-dollar corporations that are doing this at a global scale using people's IP.
This is so frustrating. Because there's a word I desperately want to call you, but if I call you that, I'm going to get Iseth banned, so I can't say it. God, so badly. What I will say is a company being large is not bad. A company is bad when it does bad things. You have not pointed to any bad thing being done by any tech company yet. Even though there are bad things you could point to AI being used for, you haven't actually brought up anything other than copyright infringement. But yes, there are billion-dollar companies. And if you can't point to the billion-dollar companies doing anything malicious, they are providing extraordinary amounts of value to their customers, which is unambiguously positive. So far, the worst-behaving billion-dollar company brought up in this video so far has been Disney, with its aggressive protection of its copyrights, and that's the one you're defending.
And Grok, let me say, although they're probably going to be the ones to sue for this, this guy's... these images are unreal. Although they're going to get sued for this, they're just like a symptom of the bigger problem. Because a lot of these other companies, it's not like they're sucking up even less of the copyrighted data.
It's so discouraging to listen to you speak. Because I know yours is the popular position, and it drains my soul to see people advocating for laws that restrict and harm them. But as pitiable as self-destructive tendencies can be, they also have a tendency of dragging others down with them, and that is worth condemning.
You're going to be able to generate much more incendiary, pictures and things that will pass more as fake news. Early on in the image generation game of AI, you could just tell. You'd look at the fingers were wacky. You'd look at the eyes weren't quite right. You'd look at the reflections weren't quite right. As these models' capability grow, you just need to imagine 5 years down the road, or even 2 years, or 1 year. The ability for the average person to spot this stuff is going to be much harder. So the ability for it to actually affect the world in a negative way, just by promulgating fake news, fake information, is going to be much higher.
Oh my god, you finally touch on a concerning use case for AI, and you fuck it up by calling it fake news. The euphemism for true thing that the establishment media and government want you to think is fake. There are two ways to combat intentionally deceptive AI creations, both of which should be employed. First of all, there's the use of AI to detect AI creations. You might not be adept enough to spot an AI fabrication, but an AI will be. The second way, which is actually practical life advice that I suggest you employ, is don't believe things merely because they are presented to you. This is an often underdeveloped skill, but I promise it will serve you well.
Just to describe this image for you, it's somebody holding an Israeli flag with a bunch of blood on the ground and supposed soldiers there, and they're holding a document that says the most moral army. So now, this is the other thing that's also kind of complicated this whole thing. In the past, image generators couldn't do text reliably on, different things. This has basically been solved. And that is also just furthers the ability for disastrous, outcomes.
We've had the ability to produce convincing fake images for decades. Yeah, the process is becoming more automated and thus available to the average inexperienced user, but this idea is not novel. You should know this. You're in the field of entertainment and video creation. Yeah, this is not dystopian. Neither was Photoshop.
Now, some of this stuff is just kind of wild. This is just kind of going to show you how unhinged it gets. You've got Mickey Mouse with a swastika. You've got Mario with cocaine. And again, no permission, no nothing. You know how litigious Disney is. They're crazy. So it's, this is really bad. But also, it's just a disaster for everyone because just anyone can generate realistic-ish looking photos. This is Donald Trump holding a gun on some kid, and it says AI alignment is key in the background. Obviously, that's someone purposely trying to generate something incendiary to prove a point that we can't just be releasing these models into the world that are going to be able to generate so much fake stuff.
The alternative to releasing the model into the wild is keeping it behind closed doors. Because there is no going back, and there is no reverting the model. These models are here, they are becoming more advanced, and this technology is going to continue progressing. Now, if they are kept behind closed doors, they will be exclusively accessible by the billion-dollar companies you hate, and the state. And I think that is the more dystopian route.
Again, you just need to kind of, you need to look down the road a little bit and see and imagine where this stuff goes.
Have you done that? Have you looked down the road and determined for yourself that, yes, we need the government to step in to control this technology because it is too dangerous in the hands of the average person? If so, then foresight is not your forte.
And Elon Musk releasing Grok 2 into the wild is A, probably going to get him sued, but B, also ironically start a huge discussion about AI safety and also the rights to copyright holders, which has become, a huge disaster.
Indeed. Copyright is a huge disaster, and I'm glad I could participate in this conversation you invited.
Now, I will warn you, every time I do a video like this, there are some AI bros in the comments who always go, oh, copyright's dead. Oh, nobody owns anything anymore. AI's changed everything.
Copyright is not dead, but we should kill it. And we do own things. We own property. I just don't categorize ideas as a form of property.
Okay. That's so stupid.
Now, fuck you too, buddy.
Even if you're a fan of more people being able to remix stuff, you should not be a fan of billion-dollar corporations monetizing on it.
Alright, since you're not putting down your unfounded bias against large businesses, maybe I can appeal to it instead. What entities do you think benefit the most from copyright law? Is it the starving Twitter artist offering $5 not safe for work commissions of your OC? Or is it Disney, Nintendo, Apple, You want to hate billion-dollar corporations because you think you're supposed to, but you end up advocating for policies that benefit them because you got distracted by Elon Musk. In other words, you're the average Twitter leftist.
Right? So it's like, even if you're sympathetic to like the piracy argument of like, oh man, it's just all a remix, brother, you know, just kind of just chop it up. This is not that. You're just fighting for billionaires to take more of the pie.
I'm saying everyone can have a pie. Literally everyone. There are infinite pies available, and we can make infinite more. And you are saying, no, only the billionaires can have the pie, and they'll dole out slices at whatever price they want because it's their pie. How have you managed to get this so catastrophically backwards?
So, I just wanted to talk about that real quick.
You are remarkably bad at talking, and I recommend giving it a break forever. Conversely, the audience is excellent at listening. Thanks for bearing with me as I ranted about my special interest for however long this video ends up being. I know this is not the typical kind of content you would see on this channel, but I promise we'll get back to our usual stuff whenever Iseth gets back. Someday. I'm so alone. If you'd be interested in alleviating my loneliness, platonically, I'm present in Iseth's Discord, and I encourage you to join. I also encourage you to like the video if you did, and subscribe if you haven't. And if you really like the kind of content Iseth and I make, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to her Patreon. And if I've successfully gotten you in the mood to click links, might I also ask that you go subscribe to my channel? One day I'll make a video.